This place inspires, from being the most popular state in the US to having the fifth largest economy in the world, from its beautiful landscapes to its rich cultural institutions. Let's talk about the great state of California. This is the place where the Pacific Coast Highway, Disneyland, Death Valley National Park, and many other things can be found. But did you know that this place is almost dead? The truth is that this is the case, which is pretty bad. This makes you wonder how a state, especially one like California, can die. Before we get into the subject, let's just say that California has been in a long war. It's not with any other state or organization, but with Mother Nature, or more specifically, the ocean. In fact, you heard that right, and the state is very close to losing. We're going to look at the facts of why California is almost dead in this video. You won't believe all the facts we show. Some of them you would never have thought of, so be sure to watch all the way through. This war must be making you wonder how it began. If you'll remember back to 2016, strange weather patterns caused 30 feet of Pacific coastal cliffs to be washed away in just 1 year. That is a lot. There are strong, very strong waves that hit the shore and weakened the base. This caused an unbalance that forced people to leave their homes and businesses and led to their punishment. Now picture yourself in that situation. It's still a bad dream. Did you know that the damage this caused was worth more than $16 million? Don't give up. There's more to this. California only makes $36 million a year, so this damage cost the city a lot of money. Because of the bad weather, over 90% of the beaches in Northern California and about 80% of the beaches in Central California have had their shorelines worn away. Did you know that the sea level in California has only risen 9 inches in the last 100 years? But scientists say that by the end of this century, the rise will be more than 9 feet. How much scarier can it get? What else should we expect? There is real climate change going on right now. There are droughts, wildfires, and big changes in the weather in California right now. It's clear that this truth has hit the city hard and stayed really bad. Every storm and high tide wears away at the state's shoreline, but nothing is being done about it. The world is getting warmer every day. More and more glaciers are melting, and the effects of the ocean rising have already reached California. If you do a quick search on Google for Pacifica, you'll find hundreds of pictures of the most expensive buildings falling down on the edges of the hills that lead to the ocean. The California harbor town of Balboa Island is spending about $2 million to build a wall around itself to keep it from the ocean. Now the question is whether California should also build a long, huge wall of concrete against the ocean. It will shock you to learn that by the end of this century, floods could damage more than $150 billion worth of property. Not to mention the damage to the economy, which will be much worse than the worst hurricanes and earthquakes in history. Why there is so much chaos? So what is it that makes the sea level rise? There are actually 2 main reasons for this, and both of them have to do with global warming. The first is the growth of ocean as it warms up, and the second is the extra water volume that forms when ice melts. Scientists who have studied Antarctica and Greenland's melting glaciers in great detail see this as a very dangerous disaster, with very heavy ice shelves falling into the ocean and sheets of breaking down ice sloping off the continent. A flow of ice has way too much heavy power for anything else to handle. Over and over again, water has shown itself to be one of nature's most destructive and also most powerful forces. Because warmer water makes more energy, which makes storms stronger, many experts say that in the near future, storms will hit the coasts more often and with much greater force and size. Take a quick look at last winter in California to see that it's already arrived. In addition, experts are warning about El Niño events getting stronger, which, along with rising sea levels, will cause huge floods and king tides. These changes will affect how long it takes to commute, how quickly first responders can get to the scene of an accident, and most importantly, how people get around on the roads generally. The most recent numbers show that over 200,000 people live in California's low-lying coastal places, which are always at risk of floods because the sea level is rising. The streets and roads along the coast of California are also in danger. Strange things are happening because the sea level is rising. This is especially scary because more than 80% of California's people live and work in coastal areas. This is why it is thought that water will wash away property worth about $10 billion in California by 2050. We're already getting the chills, isn't it? Present situation. The city is also running out of water very quickly, which is also a great shame. California is having trouble getting enough water because of how the city stores and collects it. But it is pretty strange, and we will talk about what is strange about it. It has to do with how much snow there is. Let me tell you what a snowstorm is if you don't already know. These are the words for the snow that builds up on the highest points of slopes in the winter. Every time it snows, a new layer of snow covers the old one, and the process starts all over again. This makes a large pool of water that acts like a natural storage. As soon as spring comes around, the snow starts to melt. The water is collected in dams and man-made lakes, where it is both used and cleaned. The extra water that runs off recharges the groundwater and keeps the system going. Perhaps you think this is a cool way to do things. After that, where is the problem? Climate change has caused snowpacks to drop by a huge amount, which is what's really bothering people. This is making summers longer and winters shorter. In particular, about 2015, which was the worst year in California's history. 5% of the yearly average was water content this year. This is the lowest level of water content seen in 150 years. You must be feeling the stress that the state must have had at this time. Because of all of this, farmers in the Central Valley had to start using groundwater, but this plan also had some issues. Also, there is a limited quantity of groundwater, which means that wells have to be dug very deep to get to the water. This is because groundwater is not well controlled and is not spread out fairly. Before it can get to the water, a pump has to dig 2,000 meters into the ground. Could you even picture that? So what's going on now? Farmers are making more holes than the groundwater can fill up again. The effects of this are clear. The price of water is going up. Farmers are paying more than $500 million to get to groundwater. So in California, water is more of a nice to have than a necessity, right?